What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Last Principles. I'm your host, M.A. Tonight, my honored guest on Cult Conversations, another episode of Cult Conversations. I have Mr. Sam Lightbourne. Sam, how are you this evening?
I'm doing well. Thank you. Appreciate it. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm glad to get you on here. I feel like the Holy Spirit or the Holy ICOC spirit was moving a little bit because, like, I remember I saw your sub come through. And I was like, let me go check out his channel. And as I'm going through, I'm like, I'm getting slight XICOC vibes, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. So as I'm watching your videos, I'm also seeing you comment on mine, and I'm just like, it was just this mutualness going on.
Yes.
And I was just like, yeah, this is this time we gotta we gotta meet up and we gotta talk about all of this. So
right.
What I would like to start with is, I know with all of us who have been in the ICOC or any high control group, cult for that matter, what we were going through in life prior to that has a lot to do with us either being vulnerable to being in there, being susceptible to it, it being attractive to us, all that good stuff. So what was life like? What was going on in your life prior to you getting into the ICOC?
Wow. I think there's a lot of contributing factors, I must say.
And take your time, as they say in Baptist church. Take your time. We got I got as much time as you do. So
okay,
go
perfect.
in.
So I think overall, I was at a very vulnerable place. And I would say a dark place. So I grew up knowing I guess the whole time that I wanted to live with parents who were Christians. And I looked at because I'm from the islands, I'm from Turks and Caicos, so everything is it's a small country. Then I also live on a small island, so everybody knows everybody. You know, they have a saying that you can't spit outside without somebody judging your spit and then telling the whole world about it.
Wow.
So it kind of it kind of puts me in a place where I have to keep everything to myself. Yeah, I have to have this certain image. My father was a contractor, so he had his own business and he was well known for what he did. He's built a lot of infrastructures on the island that, even through hurricanes still stand very well.
Wow. Nice.
And he's been honored by the Queen of England for his work because it's still under the British colony. So, his life story, kind of also ties into mine. He was married. He had multiple women outside of that. I'm a product of the outside women. And, it has so many stigmas to that, even in the country.
Yeah.
Which, I had nothing to do with, but
right.
Here I am. I'm in this situation, so I got to play with the cards I have. So in my mind, I just knew, okay, they're not married, but they're together. I live with them. This is not good. So there was always something from a child. When I was 6 years old was when I knew that I was attracted to men. And, I hadn't done anything to act on that or whatever, but, keeping all that in mind, I already had all this pressure and weight on myself as a child. I remember at 12 years old having my bags packed like I was gonna go somewhere. I remember my dad and my mom got into an argument over one of my sisters. We have a different mom. Over something very simple that my mom actually didn't do anything wrong. I was there. They were arguing and I just started blasting on them like, shut up. she didn't do what you saying she done, blah, blah, blah. This person's a liar. And I was just at 12 going off on my parents.
Wow.
And that was the last time I heard them argue. No, the last time they argued in front of us, for at least for me.
Wow.
I moved out here when I was 15, so I don't know what happened after that. I have younger siblings that stayed. So yeah, there was a lot going on family wise, so there was a lot of pressure to, one, hide who I am, and hide everything else that came with it. It was already ingrained in me to suppress myself. So when I was 14, I was molested by someone who was in my family. Now, mind you, I had already known that I was attracted to men. But that instance, I blamed myself. And actually didn't realize that I was molested until I had a conversation with one of the lead evangelists. He was like,
wow,
yeah, you were basically groomed by this person.
Wow.
And you were a minor and they were an adult, so yeah, that's that was molestation. And I didn't think of it that way until then, and I went to therapy after that, but that was before I even became that's after I became a disciple. So that was like maybe 3 years in. My brother and sister-in-law were already a part of the church. I moved to the US and lived with them, and it was the beginning of a new life, a new journey. I'm 15, don't really know what to expect. So I went with them to church. That was normal because I grew up going to church with my mom or my older siblings, every now and then with my dad. And, then I started doing my own thing and going to church on my own. So, it was a part of my life. It's part of the culture.
Yeah.
So I'm coming in as almost like a kingdom kid,
right?
Per se. So I have a little bit perspective from both sides, and we're in the teen ministry. People are getting baptized, and it's a common thing. Things happening. So once we got a leader for the teen ministry, I started hanging out more with the teens and being around them. Then the teen leader started meeting with some of the guys individually, so he would have separate time for us. And I remember he asked me, so what's stopping you from studying the Bible? And because he didn't really ask much.
What a question.
Yeah, he didn't go right into it. He spent a lot of time with me, and something was going on at home. Because I'm born an uncle. So any of my older siblings' kids, some of them were actually born, they're born before me. So a lot of them are actually the same age as me, or, a few years off. So me and my nephew, we were 1 year apart, living in the same house. We were basically clashing. We went to the same school, took the same bus, but there were times that we were just holding grudges and not talking to each other and living in the same house. So with all the stuff that was going on with me, I held a lot of anger, bitterness, and, I guess I was just upset about something going on at home. I started talking to the team leader about it, and I was basically saying, I don't want to live that way. I want to do what's right in God's eyes. And that's when he came with the question, well, what's stopping you from studying the Bible? And I was very hesitant because I knew that I was attracted to men, and I was like, I don't think that I'm going to be accepted. I don't know how that's going to work. There were no examples for me to follow. And later on, at some point, I learned about Guy Hammond, and I tried to, be a part of his program and everything. So not too long after that, I studied the Bible. This is at 17.
Okay.
Got baptized. And yeah, that was the beginning of my journey. So with that, I think that I needed therapy right away. It didn't happen until years later.
Yeah.
Because even when I spoke about what happened with my family member, there were no questions about age,
Yeah.
And I think that's where professional help would have been important, because I would have probably had a better understanding. Not to blame anyone, but it is what it is. So I think that played a huge role in knowing who I am, what happened to me, and being able to deal with the trauma that came so that I could grow and be healthy. So I think the thing that kept me going was just being open. One of the people I studied with was like, hey, they didn't really know what to do. They didn't know how to talk to me. They didn't know how really to help me, but they did what they thought was best. And they said, hey, just talk to the brothers about what's going on, not the sisters. Talk to the brothers about what's going on, and be open with them so, you can get help if you need help.
Yeah.
So that's the backstory.
Gotcha. I want to hit a couple of things here. One, it was just amusing to me hearing that. So what's stopping you from studying the Bible? And I'm thinking in my head, I think you might have answered part of this, but I'm like, did y'all ask him already? Because I'm like, how you gonna say that to somebody and you haven't asked them at all? Because it comes across as if you've been like dragging your feet and like turning people down. I'm like, I don't get that impression that he was doing that. Like, was that happening, or did that question really just come out the blue? Like I think it did.
So my brother and sister-in-law asked me maybe a few times.
Okay.
I don't know if they ever had a conversation about that. Could be very much possible. I had no idea. But I feel like for me, it wasn't them asking that made me want to do anything. It was their lifestyle that did say, wow, these people are actually living this out. It's, seems real. It seems genuine, because back in the islands, families or people don't really hang out with the ministers or evangelists or whatever you call it. And we lived down the street from the lead evangelists, and I'm friends with their kids, and we hung out at each other's houses. That was really different for me. So
yeah. Okay. So to recap a little bit, tell me if this sounds accurate. Like, your desire to want to live with people who were, living right by the Bible, the things that happened in your household, the way you saw your parents live, the trauma that you experienced. And first of all, I don't know, it's always weird coming from the person who didn't do it, but I'm sorry you had to go through that. Like that, if I had a worst enemy, I would not wish something like that on them. I'm like, nobody deserves to have that. And like, regardless of how young you are, if you're not, well, shoot, even adults, like you can be vulnerable to something like that and not know you're being groomed or whatever other tactics people like that use. I'm like, that's some heavy manipulation. That's some evil in that. So I'm just like, I know that had to be a heavy thing. I know I can't speak from experience, but I'm just like, man, I just hate that and you specifically, but that anyone, because there's people out there having to go through that. There's people out there being groomed right now. There are people who've gotten, kidnapped and into sex work and all the whole gamut. I think I'm saying that word properly. I always read that word and I never say it. So I can feel my wife rolling her eyes at me right now, struggling with that. Anyway, but yeah, so you had that, the house, the stuff in your upbringing. So would it be safe to say that those things made the church attractive to you? Does that sound about right?
Yep. Okay. I was seeking a safe place and, I found it.
Okay. So you found a safe place. You studied the Bible, you got baptized. How was the Bible study experience? How was that for you? Because I know it can be a little heavy for some of us, a little weird for some of us, a little traumatizing for some of us. How was it for you?
So I think the most difficult things were the sin study, of course.
Of course, yeah.
The cross study. So why I say the sin study, because I remember vividly. I wrote down all the sins. I left the heavy ones on separate pieces of paper. And then I pulled them out once the easy ones are out the way. I remember sitting there, my palms are sweating. I was basically probably in panic mode, but still pushing through it. So that was tough. I think maybe it's a little different for teenagers where I wasn't really asked to bring somebody to church, and because that's something that I ended up doing when I studied the Bible with people. I try to have them to see how serious they were about becoming a disciple, if they're going to reach out to people and whatnot.
Kind of act like a disciple before you could become one, apparently.
Right, exactly. So I didn't necessarily have to do that, but the cross study, I think they expected me to cry.
This sounds about right, yeah.
And that didn't happen.
So you weren't broken enough, huh?
I was not. So we did it again.
You're not cut to the heart because you didn't cry.
We did it again. We did it twice because they're like, yeah, I don't think he got it. So we need to try again. I'm like, oh, okay. I think I fasted. Yes, I did. I fasted because I wanted to experience whatever it was that I thought I was supposed to experience. I'm 17. My brain is not fully developed. I have no idea what's going on. And one of the guys who was studying the Bible with me, he was older. And I don't know, I gravitated to older guys because they were like my dad. My dad was like 50 years older than me. Yeah. So, there's a comfortability there. So I was at the lead teens leader's home. I don't know why I was there by myself, but I was there by myself. I don't know if they were out of town, because he ended up meeting with us that was the second cross study. And the older guy came up. There's like a window when you walk up to their house. I was in the small room. I was actually singing and on my knees, and I didn't think, okay, somebody might come. I was just all into it, blasting my voice, and then he saw me, and I guess he realized, okay, yeah, he's broken.
Oh, he's singing. He's showing some kind of emotion, so he's got to be some kind of broken.
So yeah, that was right before the study, and I don't remember how everything happened right after then, but later on, I was baptized in one of the now elders' pool in their backyard. There was a lot of people, and I look back at the pictures, like there's a lot of people there.
Yeah.
I wonder, because I was the first male teen probably in a while. that was
so
baptized.
Big celebration then.
Right. We got one. So yeah, that was a big deal.
Wow. Hearing what you had to go through with the cross study, like doing it twice, it makes me wonder, how the heck did I make it through there? Because I don't say this to brag. I say this to say I think something was actually wrong with my tear ducts, but I hadn't cried from between my first semester of my junior year in high school up through, I want to say, a few weeks after my daughter was born. So we're talking, I want to say 16-ish.
Wow.
Through into my early 30s.
Wow.
I had not shed a tear. Wow. And again, I don't say that to brag on some toxic masculinity BS, but on some, I really like, it's another, I'll have to tell you, I guess, the backstory on that another time. But so some suppression, I would say, to keep it short. But yeah, so someone who just was not about the tear life back then. Like, I wonder, like, how did I make it through that? How did they think I was broken? But I think what might have been similar to how you were like the first, male teen in a long time. I was 17 as well, but I graduated when I was high school when I was 17. So I want to say 2 months shy of 18 when I got baptized. And it was, we get programmed to remember our baptism date. So October 8th, 2000.
Yeah.
And I was the second of, so it was a harvest month, if you will. And they had a goal of baptizing, I forget what the number was. It was either 21 or I think 21 people in the month. And I was number 2 of 21.
Wow.
And I got baptized in a week. Like, I studied the Bible in a week.
Wow. Which
I didn't know at the time was unheard of.
Yes.
Like, I think the last person we baptized that month got baptized in a day.
Wow.
Yeah. And everybody thought he wasn't going to make it. And I think he's still faithful to this day. But yeah, so I think maybe the fact that they wanted to get some numbers that month, that might have been maybe why I got away with not crying.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy how people look at that. They judge whether or not you're ready to be baptized, whether or not you're ready to become a Christian, whether or not you're fit to go to heaven based off of, you didn't show enough remorse at this point. So I think we need to do this again. Yeah.
And I turned around and did the same thing to plenty of people.
we all did.
Yes.
We all did. It's crazy, how we all drank the Kool-Aid. We all, some more than others. Some had a little bit more sugar in the Kool-Aid than others did. Some people. I'm just visualizing myself making Kool-Aid again. I haven't done it in ages. I'm out of practice probably.
Never again.
You ever had crunchy Kool-Aid before?
Crunchy? No.
Kool-Aid that has you put too much sugar in there, so that way when you you go to stir it doesn't all dissolve. So as you're drinking it, you still feel the granules of sugar.
Yeah, I have that.
Yeah. So there's that. What was I going to ask this? Okay, so you're baptized, you're in. So you were looking for that safe place. What? Side note: How long were you in ICOC?
Man, I can't. I haven't counted that. I think. Dang it. 2014. I think. Yeah, I gotta get back to you on that.
Okay.
It's probably been at least 12 years.
Okay.
At least.
We're about the same then. So you want to say you left in 2014? Does that sound about right?
No, I'm mixing that number up too. 2020 was the last time I actually was at church online.
Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha. Yes. But yeah, we were in for about the same amount of time. I was 2000 through October 2000 through November 2013. So about a little over 13 years.
Okay.
So we did a bit about the same amount of time. I don't know why I can't talk right now. So you stayed for a long time, just like I did, like a lot of us did. So you found your safe place, and like we all did. Eventually, you was like, okay, I got to get out. What was it while you were there that that kept you there, that made you feel like, okay, I want to stay, or at least this is better than what's out there? What were some of the benefits for you?
So I definitely believe it's the friendships. I'd never had the kind of deep friendships that I had while I was there. And I'm still close with many of them, still in a lot of their weddings. I'm still, a part of their family life. They get married and have kids. I'm like uncles to the kids. Like it's, a lot of it just didn't go away.
Right.
So I definitely feel like it was the friendships. I think a part of it was also codependency. I came in very vulnerable and very irritable. I also dealt with depression as well. And codependency comes along with all those different things. So even my convictions were based on everybody else's convictions. I didn't really have my own. So I was dependent on the relationships to keep me going, to keep me faithful. And that's kind of what kept me going. I left twice.
Oh.
Yep. I don't remember the year specifically. I do know I was 26 when I left the first time. And then probably 29 the second time.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you had about 3 years on the second go round. Gotcha. So you mentioned depression. I think something else as well. Well, something else close to that. Codependency and depression. Okay. So codependency, depression, and then we also have your orientation. Tell me if this is right. You like to refer to it as attracted to men as opposed to just opposed to gays.
Everybody says, I don't really like the labels.
Yeah.
Because of the negative connotation. But I'm not gonna be like, oh, I'm not gonna fight somebody if they call me gay. Like,
right.
Whatever. Yeah.
Gotcha. So between being attracted to men, depression, codependency, those are three. One of those things by themselves, but all three of those things are things that all at once. But then also the fact that not just ICOC, but I want to say church, the organized religion in general, but specifically ICOC, they don't handle any one of those three things well.
No.
And it's not. I don't want to blame individuals with this, because it takes a licensed person to tackle. Not that one of them doesn't actually need to be tackled. The being attracted to men doesn't need to be tackled. But depression, codependency, anything mental related, it takes a licensed professional to handle those things. And the organization was asking regular Joes like me and you off the street to handle these things.
Go talk to Sam. He needs help.
Right. Yeah. So it's like, and again, not to blame the individuals, because you're being asked by somebody higher up, and it's not like you feel like you can turn them down.
Right.
So you're asked to help somebody who's going through depression. You're asked to help someone who has anxiety. You're asked to help someone who has this stuff that you don't know shit about. But we try our best. We throw some scriptures out there. We try to, at best, we were like a listening ear, which is all really a person who doesn't have the training can do. But you're doing that when the person needs to be going to therapy. Like,
exactly.
How was your experience with that? Like, if people did you know at the time that it was depression?
No, I did not. I didn't have a
Yeah.
word for it. And even looking back on it, me being attracted to men and coming from an island, being molested, all of that there's a lot that comes with being a part of the LGBT community. And a lot of people have depression, body dysmorphia, anxiety, PTSD. There's all of that comes with that. And not only that, but also being a Black male in America.
Intersectionality.
Exactly. So it is crazy, bringing all that up. To think that anybody really had a great way of dealing with the mental health, no.
Yeah.
I think something that also probably worked in my favor was that I was already used to suppressing myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I was always happy. I was always smiling.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I really didn't give of myself. I was open about a lot of things if it were to come up, but I wouldn't go out of my way to share. Not that I was uncomfortable. I felt so free being able to talk about it. But I didn't have a name for what was happening. I didn't know what codependency was until I went to therapy the first time. Didn't understand what depression was until I don't know. I knew about it from before grad school, but I didn't really think much about it until then. So I feel like I don't think it wasn't a good job. It was just something. I was led to scripture. I was, told I need to check my heart. I was like,
check your heart, bro.
I don't like this check your heart stuff. God, I don't know what this is, but I don't like that.
Because there's always got to be something wrong with you. There's always got to be something you ain't doing.
Yes. And, it's sad because I think about myself and the people that I nurtured and cared for after studying the Bible. I was, I had to do the same thing. Check your heart. That's what kept me going. So I had to do the same for them. But at the same token, I was also in the limelight a lot because at 17 is when I started singing on stage. And that's actually when I learned that I could sing. I didn't know until one of my close friends, I guess we were at some type of Devo. Actually, it was like a transitional event where the campus ministry would invite the teens to come to the campus functions or show us around campus and see what campus life is like. And one of my close friends in the teens at the time, she recorded me singing. I guess we were leading a song with the group. I guess I end up leading the song. I don't know how I end up leading the song. No training, whatever.
Did you get voluntold?
No, I just started. We were just singing, and I just started leading them because I knew I liked the song and I knew the words. And she gave it to the lead singer. And this was actually funny because it was a day that I came late to church. I came in late, and I guess they said they announced that they were gonna try to get me on stage or whatever, and I wasn't there for that. And
well, y'all didn't ask me. I was about to say y'all didn't tell me what y'all didn't ask me. You didn't ask me if I wanted to be up there.
It was odd, but I did, I liked that attention. I did enjoy that. But when I walked into church, everybody saw me, they were looking at me, and I was like, why are they looking at me so weird? I know I'm late, but what happened? And then I heard them say, yeah, we heard you singing. You're really good. I'm like, okay.
Like, I just heard this too.
At that moment, it was real to me because even beforehand, I didn't get complimented on singing. My brother and sister-in-law would hear me singing in the shower, which I did all the time. And they did acknowledge it. But in my mind, I still didn't believe it because I hadn't heard that before then.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think I did worship for 6 years.
6 years.
Maybe more than that, to be honest.
Yeah. Let's part there for a second because I know this is a shared experience here too. I can carry a tune. I'm not ashamed of my Okay, I kind of am, and I'm kind of not. Like, I do believe I can sing. I don't think I'm not solo material.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I could sing, and you wouldn't tell me to shut up. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I was at least that. Like, nobody's gonna be like, "Oh, you off key, you suck." Like, but I don't feel like I'm great. I don't feel like. I think other people like the sound of my voice, but the sound of my own voice annoys me. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't like how I sound. Until I got a better mic, I'm actually cutting a demo for my for
Oh,
voice acting
okay.
this weekend. And with
Nice.
the professional mic I got, it's not the one that I have right here.
Mm-hmm.
But when I heard myself on the mic, I'm like, I actually like how I sound now. Like, but it's like before, like it's like you hear your voice on like a voicemail recording. You're like, what is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I say all that to say I like singing, and I feel like I was good enough. But I'm not solo material, and I don't like actually leading the songs because
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big introvert at heart who does not like being the center of attention.
Mm-hmm.
So I eventually learned how to tune out all the eyes being on me.
Mm-hmm.
So let me sing bass on the side.
Right.
Just let me support everybody else. I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
But there are times where I get asked to lead a song, or I remember there was a good year or so where every few Sundays there's this ministry. There's a smaller branch of the ministry out in. It's funny, I actually live near there now. Um, they would One of the guys there would call me up the night before and ask me to come lead songs, and I always dreaded that one because
Mm-hmm.
now I'm totally responsible for the worship, and y'all repeatedly asked me the night before,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm
Yeah,
just
no.
like, I don't want, I don't want this burden on my shoulders.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, so I didn't like the responsibility. I didn't like because I'm like, nah, I get what the song leaders go through. You got to come up with the program. You got to come up with a whole list of songs. You got to deal with the evangelist
Oh.
wanting to change it. Hey, so because you got the I guess the meeting that you have before church starts, and you're like, hey, so song leader, what songs do you have for
Mm-hmm.
us? And you list the
Oh,
songs. Can we take this one
man.
out and put this one in? The one that
Right.
this song that y'all
Ooh.
haven't rehearsed all week. Can you want to do that one?
I got
Just because I
stories on
like this
that.
song, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So what? So that's some of my gripes.
Oof.
What is as being like worship leader? What did you go through with that?
Oh my gosh. I remember a story with it's
Uh-oh.
actually we had one of I guess the old heads is what we would call it.
The who?
One of the old heads
Old head. Okay, yeah, I
has
got you.
been and everybody knows who it is.
Mm-hmm.
So one of those names you say to be like, oh my gosh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I remember one time we had a song on the list. I was doing the worship for months,
Mm-hmm.
and every month I would plan the next month out
Mm.
for each Sunday.
Okay, so you was organized.
I
You was on it.
I was working. I didn't want to no issues, so I was like, okay, let me get this together now. That way, everybody can get prepared. I had a rotation of singers. It was a lot. So I don't remember which song it was, but they just wanted to switch after. It was like the millionth time. I was like, no. I turned around. I was like, oh. They saw my frustration and they're like, oh, you don't like this. I'm like, no, I don't.
No, I don't.
You guys do this every time. You have no idea. First of all, I don't have the people that can sing what y'all want us to sing. Second of
Yeah.
all, if you're gonna do it, you lead it. We'll stand in the back, whatever. We did not rehearse this. I
Yeah.
have to teach these people the parts.
Yeah.
I'm not a musician. I can hear the parts and I can do what I can, but we're dealing with people who are not professionals. They're
Mm-hmm.
volunteers. They don't
Right.
know exactly what they're doing. They have experience from being here.
Y'all ain't
They
paying
don't
us either.
know. So that day I was livid. I was
I done
livid.
had it.
Yes. I know they felt it because they calmed down and was like, oh yeah. In that moment, I was like, I do not care who you are. Please respect the time and effort that we put that I'm putting into this.
Yes.
Because now you're just going to swap something out for no reason, just because, no explanation. Oh, we're just going to do this. No,
we're not.
No, if you're going to do that, we're going to step aside. You lead the song. We come back when you're done. That's it. Because I'm not going to try to scramble and try to teach these parts right now when we're literally about to start. No.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
So I had to put my foot down because I was like, I can't. Campus was easy. I was basically in charge for the 4 years I was there. I led one song and that was it. Oh yeah, you doing this. I put together a band. I had a choir, like sometimes a tri-county would meet together. I would do that. I had a team of people that worked with me. It was fun. I felt that the worship helped me a lot to deal with a lot of the things that I suppressed. So everything came out of me emotionally when I led worship. I loved being able to take the crowd to a different place. And I feel like I connected with people at a much deeper level, and even connected with God at a deep level by being able to help people get to this place in worship. So I'm pretty known for that where I am. And I don't think I would have ever known about that gift have I not become a part of the ICOC. So big ups to that.
Yeah. All right, before we move on from singing, give me your 2 favorite and 2 least favorite Kingdom songs.
2 favorite. Oh my gosh, I used to know the numbers.
Yeah, me too.
Dang it. The one that I led first was, I can't even think of the name. I know there was Walk in it. Anyway, I can't remember that, but a solo one that I liked doing was...
I'm trying to think of what Walk was. No, he going, but I'm just trying to...
Jeez. Yeah, I can't.
I'm gonna think of it when it's over. It's gonna come to me. I don't know why.
So the solo one was His Eyes on the Sparrow.
Okay.
I really like doing that.
Okay.
All along life's pilgrim journey, I want this world to see that I want Jesus to walk with me. Okay, so down
you put some put some soul on that one, because we never I recognize the words, but we always kept it.
Yes.
I want Jesus to walk with. Like, we always kept it somber and
it was kind of sad.
Yeah. But whatever you just did, I'm like, where was that my whole time?
So I can't take credit for that. I don't know. You probably heard of Colorblind. You were out in in the north.
Yeah, I was in Atlanta. That's where I moved from to go to school in Tallahassee, Florida. Then I went back to Atlanta.
So you have heard of Colorblind, right?
Was it a song, a group?
It's a group. Stephen Bowen was one of the guys. Oh.
I can't say I did. I mean, I probably know somebody who knows.
Okay. Yeah, you definitely do, because Stephen Bowen is in Tallahassee, and he was one of the main people and part of that Colorblind group. But Hold
up. Keep talking. I'm just, because I'm going to Facebook to see if I'm Stephen Bowen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would it be Stephen with a PH or Stephen with a V?
PH. So there was another guy who was a part of the group that lived in Miami where I was. That's who kind of like I don't know if he revamped it, but that's where I learned it. We did a lot of songs different because when I went up north and I wrote it for the first time, I was like, "That's not how the song go. What y'all doing?
Right?
This is wrong. This is
We
wrong."
used to hate that. Like whatever you the way you first hear it is how it's supposed to be.
Right.
And then you hear somebody else do it, you're like, you picking up my song. Right.
Not only that, it was better the way I heard it first.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. I recognize this guy. And because as soon as I pulled him up, I'm like, yeah, we got like 31 mutual friends. Yeah. Yes. So yeah. I've seen him. I didn't know that I'd seen him, but I saw him.
So yeah, there's a lot of there's another one they revamped that was really good. I can't think of it now, but it comes up. I'll throw it on. But those were my favorites. Gotcha. I mean, there's more, but two worst. I didn't like going to Men's Devils at all.
You read my mind.
So when I heard you say that in one of the interviews, I was like, oh my gosh, I thought I was the only one.
Hard Fighting Soldier, Bloodstained Banner.
So one that y'all didn't mention was Rise Up, O Man of God.
Oh my God, yes. Yeah.
I
can't say I hate that one, but I can do without it. I can do without it.
It's the same. Like I didn't hate it, but I did not. It's not one of my go-tos. I would only use it if I felt like it went with the theme of the message.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing else left to use. But yeah, I did not. That was not my favorite song. No. Yeah.
Did you ever feel like with Men's Devos, like the songs they tried a little too hard to like masculinize the vibe? Because I'm like,
I think I've only gone to 2 Men's Devos because
you are lucky, sir.
There was a lot to go to, and I purposely avoided them because I did not want to go around it's like they put on extra testosterone. Yeah. And they just like, oh, and I'm like, no, dude, just calm down. Like,
right. We don't have to. Yeah. We don't need to like the hard charge or we gotta leave. We gotta be mighty men of God. I'm like, just.
Yeah, I know.
It ain't got to be like that. No. Even I remember one of the song leaders I was under. I remember him making a post about it, and I was like, you know what? It ain't sure was like that. Like he kind of called out the fact that every time we had a Men's Devo, it was the same 2 songs. Now to some degree, I get it. Just like how you mentioned earlier, like we don't have the voices for this particular song, so with a bunch of men. And the vast majority of us may not be trained in singing. We're not finna sing Men Who Dream. We're not finna sing anything that requires some finesse because we don't like we ain't got the voices for it. It's not gonna be a joyful noise.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah. that mess. Anyway, wow. Took me back for a second.
See it.
But yeah, I want to circle back to something that was not handled very well, and I even admit I didn't handle this well. Going back to anything LGBTQ related, I think when I was there, I had no knowledge of any of the other. I mean, yeah, gay and lesbian and everything like that, but like. Anything trans, anything not non-binary, any of the other sexualities, and you got pansexual, you got asexual. None of that stuff was on my radar at all back then. But I do remember there's one brother to this who was actually in my Bible talk for a while. We baptized him, and he had that was his orientation, and he. I don't remember. I don't think I led any of those. So I think it was one of those where I was complicit, but wasn't driving it. But like, yeah, he's married now. He's married to a woman.
Amen. Hallelujah.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
Right. So I know at least one brother that where that happened. One of my he wasn't in the church, but my wife's a good friend of my wife and I, but I know him through my wife.
Mm-hmm.
He had that history as well, and he is now he's now married with got a young child now. I think he's at least one now. Oh, I remember why I was thinking of him earlier. You know how we were talking about the phrase gay, how it used to, I think you mentioned before how it used to mean happy and now it means, liking the same gender. One thing I remember him saying was, we're talking about, it always comes with depression, it comes with body dysmorphia, it comes with all those other things. It's really ironic that it's called gay.
Yeah.
Because people who, people like to go back and forth about whether or not it's a choice. I mean, I'm with you. Like I'm on the side of it. It's not a choice, because I've heard more than one gay person say this. We wouldn't choose this. We wouldn't choose to be not happy. And that's the right thing. We're not happy because we get all the things for being. Yeah. Like, I was thinking this in my head. The people who are upset that there's not a straight Pride Month.
We celebrate it every day, bro. Go sit down, please.
Exactly.
Have several seats.
Just
go to a stadium.
That's just like one of my other hobbies, cosplay. And we have in February we celebrate 28 days of Black cosplay, and it never fails. You always have a bunch of trolls or people who just don't get it. Well, what about a white cosplay month? I'm like, you get the other months in the year, because it's circling back to anything LGBTQ, it's like, when's the last time that any straight person who's listening to this right now who may not get it, this is for you. When's the last time you were kicked out of the house for being straight? Were kicked out of your church for being straight, told you were going to hell for being straight, bullied for being straight, pushed into depression for being straight, pushed to suicide for being straight, killed for being straight? When was the last time? Don't worry, I'll wait. So yeah, I'm getting a little off track, but yeah, like, I know we didn't handle that well. We didn't, we were just fully convinced that it clearly says in the Bible that it's a sin. So so we did with it what we thought we should. I mean, not to excuse it, but that's where we were. And and I look back and I'm like, I helped somebody somewhat repent of it. I've had I remember my first roommate. I feel like he always had tendencies, but I was like, hey, I'm not going to assume until you tell me.
Right.
And one day he told me, he's like, hey, yeah, I did it because everybody in school thought I was, so I figured I might as well lean into it.
Wow.
There's another guy, I think he's since left, but he came to me, like, I guess as a, hey, can you mentor me a little bit? Because I know you've had relationships with guys who have had that history, and I'm like, I'm honored you would ask me. I don't know what I'm gonna help you with.
Right.
But yeah, just thinking about all of that, and like, just, I mean, not beat myself up about it, but realizing, damn, I did probably help do some damage. I don't even know where I'm going with this, but like, what were your experiences with anyone who knew that that's what you're I'm fighting hard to say struggle, because I spent so long saying struggle.
That's the only word I know it
use. Right. I know it's not one, but like you said, it's ingrained in us. What was your experience with people who knew that about you, and how they treated you, how they handled it, how they approached it, all that?
So I would say most people handle it very well. I use a lot of discernment, because there's some people I just did not. I'm like, I'm not talking to you.
Right.
You seem to have no empathy. You seem to be cold. Like, there's some people I'm not having that conversation with you.
Right. They also, you just need to repent.
Yeah. Like, no, I mean, they just didn't know. They would never get that much from me.
Yeah.
I mean, they probably know now because it's online, but whatever. I don't care. Don't care. But No, it was received well by many people, even in the teens. I was open with a lot of brothers, and it helped me a lot to just be open. But at the same time, you know, in a quote unquote normal situation, um, if I was attracted to women, it would be more upfront for another male to ask me more direct questions.
Yeah.
And in my case, direct questions were generally, I would say 90% of the time, not asked. So a lot of times, this I think is also part of me suppressing myself. A lot of the times I wasn't even open about my attractions to men because I was so focused on not being attracted to women because that's what everybody else was doing. This is a part of the codependency. That just like I could be struggling and not realize that I'm struggling with attraction to men until later on.
Yeah.
And I would catch myself like second glancing at women, but not realizing like, dude, you don't even like, you don't even care.
Wait, were you? I'm sorry, I slightly missed that. Were you doing it just because like everybody else was doing it?
I would like look and make sure I didn't double take because it was a thing. Like it was more ingrained to focus on purity in that sense and not focus on purity when it came to men. So I would be gazing at a guy and not even realizing, oh, you're doing what they're doing with girls for a long time.
Wow. It's crazy you mentioned that because I mentioned in at least 2 other videos before. I think for any of y'all that's watching, I know I might sound like a broken record by now. When you mentioned how you would like stop from looking at women even though you weren't attracted to them, that further solidifies my thought that we were taught to struggle. You don't even like them, and you're like, oh, there's a nice looking woman, let me look away.
Right.
Like we were taught to like see beauty, see something sexually, someone sexually appealing, whatever. And we were taught to like, oh, that's the elephant in the room. Let's not look over this way. Like, if we could have paper bags over our heads and still see where we were going, we would have, because we were taught to that, And then nowadays, I'm like, it could be me and my wife walking somewhere, and you could see somebody, double C thick walking by, and we both will acknowledge her, and we'll keep it moving.
Right.
I'm not in trouble. I'm not in trouble with her for looking. We'll both see her. My wife will say she has a nice butt. I wish I had hers, and I'll say, "Girl, your butt is fine," and then we'll move on. You can't do that in ICOC. You can't it's got to be a struggle. It's got to be an issue. You got to have tunnel vision because you can't dare take a glance. You can't dare appreciate it.
It's crazy because even in campus we had like little sayings. I would call them euphemisms.
Yeah.
We would basically say, okay, let's say you made that comment about a girl walking by, you're single, whatever. Whoa, she thick. And somebody be like, sin, boy. Like we would use that as a way of like, bro, check your heart.
Right.
But, use it as a way to lighten whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, it's just a glance.
Right.
It's there. It's not going to run away. If I go to the beach, I'm going to see more of it. Should I not go because I don't want to enjoy the water? That's actually healthy for me to be in that environment for my lungs and my skin.
Right.
Like, there was so much covertly taught, I believe. That's the word I would like to use, because you don't realize that you're being controlled. You don't realize that you're basically being a puppet of what you learn,
Yeah.
which is good in a sense, but then obviously it has its downsides.
Yeah.
So I think the way that purity is dealt with is it's not healthy.
No,
because
not at all.
and then some people have to go to therapy because they learned to program their mind that sex was bad when that was something that God created for us to enjoy.
Yeah.
I mean, I like how one of the leaders put it. They were like, lock it up, but don't throw away the key because you're gonna need it.
That is so, like, it's funny how that probably made sense to us all back then.
Mm-hmm.
Like I haven't heard that specific phrase, but it makes sense. Like it tracks as far as something somebody would say.
Yeah,
it made so much sense for us back then.
Mm-hmm.
But how trash is that though? Like,
yeah.
Because my wife and I, like, she was not in ICOC. If you've seen it, she
Mm-hmm.
saved me from it, right?
Yeah.
And we both were virgins when we got married.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't plan it that way. It's just how it rolled.
Mm-hmm.
And was it awkward? Yeah, but we're good.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. But it's like we realize that even like I don't regret saving myself, but I also can acknowledge that purity culture, whether it's an ICOC or not, has done so much damage, and especially with thinking like that, lock it up, but keep that key.
Mm-hmm.
And by lock it up, a lot of them, ICOC or otherwise, say not only does lock it up mean don't do it, you can't talk about it until you're able to do it,
which is very
you can't flip
unhealthy,
a switch, right? You ain't supposed to talk about it with your significant other. You can't even reach the topic. Now all of a sudden y'all supposed to like satisfy each other's deepest fantasies or whatever. I'm like, you don't go from like room temperature to boiling,
right?
Like you gotta that oven got to preheat, you know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
I just came up with that. I can't believe I just said that.
No, that's
the oven has
analogy.
to preheat.
That's a great analogy.
Damn.
It's a great analogy.
I feel old. I feel old for saying that.
Why?
I don't know. It just sounds like it sounds like something somebody not young would say.
No, I went to culinary school, so I feel it's fitting for me. So
hey, that works. Yes. If it works for you, I'm good.
Yeah, I think what's so unhealthy about it is, people. There's like a stigma on sex.
Yeah.
I mean, there's already a stigma out, in the world about sex, and it just you don't need that there. And I felt like I didn't even think about talking to my friends about sex because you just don't.
Yeah.
Even the people that you're close with, you just talk about it if you're in sin,
right?
Or you're thinking about sinning or whatever. Hey, this is what I'm going to do. No, like if you're gonna eventually get into that, there needs to be healthy dialogue, healthy conversation. Right. And something I didn't like is when a lot of my friends would get married and the married brothers would want to have their separate time with the guys to talk to him about whatever. I'm like, you really gonna get him sped up in 1 month? Or there was some people that they weren't kingdom kids, and they had their rounds before they became a disciple.
Yeah.
And probably even while they were still going to church. So you think you're teaching them something new?
Right.
No. So especially if there's an event where all the brothers are invited, single and married, and then you separate them. Why?
Yeah.
If you don't want to cause them to struggle or have them, hear whatever you have to say, have a separate event.
Yeah.
Because now you're dividing everybody that came to celebrate one person and making them feel uncomfortable because you want to have a specific conversation.
Yeah.
that irked me so much because it's exclusive. It's not inclusive.
Yeah, don't dare prepare them ahead of time, because we can't have them masturbating because they were thinking about this topic. We can't have them thinking those thoughts. That we just can't have that at all prior to them getting married.
I'm gonna do it now just because
they're probably doing it anyway.
Right. I'm gonna do it just because you try to separate me. Bye.
Right. Horrible. All right. So you said you left twice.
Yes.
Now what made you leave the first time, and what reeled you back in?
So the reason I left the first time was had a lot to do with codependency. I was, I don't know how many months I was into leading the worship team. I started a group chat. I was, planning the songs every month, with other people, but I literally did it. So, there was times where I had other people help, or we worked together and meet up. But after that, literally, I was the one putting in the songs. Maybe every now and then I'd be like, hey, you want to do this? Whatever. I don't know. But most of it was me. So that was overwhelming. Plus, I was working a job where I was a supervisor at a clothing store. So there was some Sundays I had to work. So, I could sometimes plan a whole service and not be there. And then there were certain services that I wanted to be there for because I had it planned that way. But when I got the schedule for work, I'm like, oh my gosh, now this is conflicting and I have to deal with trying to switch all over again.
Yeah.
That one last time was the last straw. I was like, you know what? I am over stressing myself way too much.
Yeah.
Just to, I don't know, to do what? Like, I don't even have my own. Right. I don't even have my own convictions. I don't know, why I'm here. And actually, I would say probably 8 months before that. Oh, I didn't even touch on this. I was dating a girl in the church. We're still close friends till now. We were friends before that. We were friends since the teens, and she was actually the one who recorded me singing and gave it to the lead singer. So we dated twice. But I broke up with her, and I was actually going down the road of I don't know what I'm gonna do, if I'm gonna leave, if I'm gonna stay. I thought I was gonna leave that Easter, but now fast forward all the way to September, when the schedule at work changed on a Sunday that I planned to be at service, because I had all these high power songs, and we had a band that Sunday, so I really wanted to be there. So I was so torn. And I think from a previous job where I had to work Sundays when I worked in the hotel, that was a struggle. I would I'd get to work at 4 a.m., do what I had to do at work in the kitchen, leave, bring my clothes to change, go to service, and then if I'm lucky, go home. But if I'm not, go back to work after service. That was horrible.
Yeah.
That is when I realized I was depressed.
Depressed and burnt out.
Oh, it was exhausting. And part of it, I didn't have a car. And afterward, I got a car, and that's when I actually, okay, we don't care that you're going to church. You're going to have to figure this out. So then I figured it out. But dang, I forgot where I was going with that.
Where were we going? Oh,
I don't know.
Why you left? And
yes.
and then what pulled you back in?
Okay, so
and then of course, if you want to flow into it, what made you leave for good?
So I left because of the codependency. That moment was my breaking point. The schedule changing and me not being able to do what I wanted to do. It was frustrating. So I was like, you know what? Bump this. just stay home, go to work,
Mhm.
take a break. So I took a break. It was September, October, November, December, I think January, no, February. I probably went back in late February or March. Um, and I think I was 26, either,
Mm.
either 26 or 28, if I could remember correctly. I would have to go back in
It
time.
all be a blur sometimes, I
Yeah,
know.
that time span was a blur, but yeah, a lot of people thought I left because I was in a relationship or I met somebody. I'm like, that's really not the case. Like,
Mm.
it was my mental health that caused me to leave. Now, did I want to now explore because I'm out? Yes,
Yeah.
because I left. So I want to go live it up and see if I can find somebody. And if I find somebody, I am not coming back, hopefully. So, and there's so much that came with that. Is not being able to express myself like
Yeah.
normal kids were from a young age,
Yeah.
not being able to be in dating relationships with the same gender for my whole life. And all of a sudden, it's like now I'm trying to try something, and there's so many insecurities, there's so many things you don't know how to handle, and it's like, I don't know how to manage this.
Yeah.
So later on, I was talking to this guy who really just wanted to be friends. And it's like I didn't get it in my head, like, oh no, well, you wouldn't have to worry and deal with all this kind of stuff like you deal with other people with me.
Mm.
You'll be fine, whatever. Um, then he made it clear, yeah, no, I'm not in the place to be in a relationship with you.
Yeah.
I don't think it would be fair. And I was like, okay, well, bump you too then. So I went back seeking out another relationship that did not work. And it wasn't bad, but it was like, yeah, no, this is not going to work. So I don't know what helped me to go back. I mean, I would still visit every now and then, um, but it wasn't frequent.
Yeah.
So I don't remember what happened that said, okay, go back. I went back. It was another year and so got back into worship. I don't know how long after, and then it was Christmas holiday when we were doing a Christmas led service. We put a lot of work into that, and it was good, but my heart was not there. I really, there's something about this time of year that breeds loneliness and sadness. I guess that's why they call it cuffed season. Everybody wants to find somebody. So it's usually during those times. Last year I did pretty good. But it was the first time I really acknowledged, yeah, this loneliness is a thing, but whatever, you can get through this.
Yeah.
So that December, something in my mind was like, yeah, this is my last service. This is going to be the last time I do this. I'm not here. I'm not happy. I've been praying, going on prayer walks every day. I started working out. I was doing so much I was in grad school now too. And I was like, yeah, this is too much.
Yeah.
I cannot do this. I cannot continue to suppress myself. I cannot continue to go in the cycle of depression. I cannot continue to just not be who I am.
Yeah.
I didn't wake up deciding, oh, I want to be stigmatized for the rest of my life. I don't mind people calling me fag. I don't mind people trying to, looking at me sideways. No. If I had a choice.
Yeah, you didn't ask for this.
Yeah. If I had a choice, I would choose to be normal, whatever that is.
Right.
Because there's less chances of me being stigmatized and treated all kinds of ways.
Yeah.
Especially growing up in an island where people just fight you. I had to protect myself by putting on this persona this whole time.
Yeah.
So I end up getting a minor cold.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time I had a roommate who I'm still really close to, like literally feel like he's my brother. And I just remember him coming to my room and asking me if I needed anything. And I was like, if I remain in church, knowing that I don't want to get married to a woman because I am not going to force myself to do something I don't want to do.
Right.
I'm not attracted to women at all, and I'm not going to pretend, which is why I broke up with my girlfriend. Because like, it's not, in my mind, it's not fair to you that I pretend when I know this is not work. It's not going to work. So in that moment when he came, I was like, I would never be able to get the affection or attention that I actually would like to have if I'm ill.
Yeah.
And I thought it was also unfair to myself because I know that I have love to offer, but I can't get that kind of love in return. And I was like, yeah, that was it for me.
Wow.
Like, I don't know where I'm going from here, but I'm going to take another break and I'm not coming back for a while.
Mm.
And that was the last time. I would still visit every now and then. Because I started going to therapy right after that. I didn't want to exclude church from my life because worship was still such a powerful thing to me that helped move me and helped me to feel at peace. And it almost felt like, I guess, meditating and having a great meditation.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, I don't want to remove this from my life. I can't find it in myself to denounce God, even though my relationship with him now is very different. And there's still like, God, is you there? Or like, what's up? I don't know what's going on here. This is still weird to me. But who knows what would ever happen.
Yeah.
Like, if the journey of my relationship with him will get stronger, I don't feel like it's weak. But if we were thinking scripturally, the spirit is quenched.
Yeah.
Very thirsty right now.
Mm.
But at the same token, I still feel connected.
Yeah.
I still feel like I have discernment. I still feel like, I can't tell you if the spirit left me. Because there are times where it just switches back on and I'm here.
Yeah.
I know how to handle the situation that you're talking about. I'm able to do that with my clients. And, that was it. I was like, I can't. And therapy helped me to digest a lot of it and be able to move on. And, just be more free thinking, because to go to a place where you're supposed to heal and be free, and I was still suppressing myself, getting depressed and in bondage.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, I don't, my heart now is that if he could save the thief on the cross in that very moment, he could do whatever he wants.
Right.
And that's where grace is. So I'm going to give myself the grace that I didn't feel was given to me, or, that I'm going to give myself the grace that God has given me.
Right.
Because the grace that I'm getting from man is that this
it ain't there.
It's not it.
So, wow. So the big combination of things that caused the last exit. You say the being depressed again. I think burnout in so many ways.
Yes.
Like, and then of course, not being able to express yourself, not being able to have the kind of love you were looking for. Yeah. It sounds like, you said before you were looking for a safe space, like a safe and happy place. It sounds like that wasn't there anymore.
Yeah, I think codependency definitely played a big role, because I would go to services, and if I was not okay, I would expect my close friends to figure it out. Sammy's not okay today. Can you see that?
Yeah.
And there's this mind reading that you want people to do for you, because you're depending on them for your spiritual life, and it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So that happened a lot, and that caused a lot of anxiety. I believe I had 2 panic attacks.
Oh wow.
2 months in a row, because of the codependency, because that also comes with high anxiety. So yeah, it just it took me down. It did wear me out a lot, and it's like this. It just doesn't feel right. Like, of course, there's so much good that came with it. I think when I came back the first time, I did the best spiritually I ever did in my life. Like, I felt so connected to God, and I focused on not being codependent and not relying on other people so much. It was just me and God, and I really honed in on that for a very long time, until the cuffet season came. So
good old cuffing season. I actually wrote a blog back when I actually blogged a lot. I wrote a blog called Uncuffing Season, which it actually happens at the same time. I basically, it was an article I wrote about how around the same time people get together, people also break up, because the same games come out every year. Madden, whatever year it was, Call of Duty, whatever year it is, all the games that come out season like every year. And those guys with those girlfriends, the girlfriends always act surprised that this game is coming out. Your man is a gamer. Your man likes playing this game. Your man gets this same game every year. Right. Yet every year you act surprised. You gonna play that game all day? Like, right. I ain't even got it out the plastic yet, and you already down my back about it. So I just kind of made fun of that situation. Like, so this is uncuffing seasons. You got some people getting together. You got some people breaking up over a game because some girl can. Yes, some of these guys do play too much, but a lot of these girls look at any amount of playing time as too much.
Yes.
And y'all don't know. Y'all being codependent. You don't have you can't they don't know how to not be up under their man 24/7. That's one thing me and my wife appreciate about each other. We both got our own hobbies. We come together, we spend time together, but like she like, look, I need you to have your own life because I got mine. So but yeah, so you said cover season, my mind went all the way back to that. But so you left, you moved on. I'm pretty sure there are a lot of people who you get taught to think that when someone leaves the ICOC that they're doing it specifically because they want to do what they want to do, because they want to be in sin. Their life is going to be in shambles. Their life is not going to be anywhere near as good as it was when they were in the ICOC. How is your life right now?
I'm the most free I've been in a long time, which is like, whenever I think about it, I'm like, it's mind-boggling. I think actually the most free I've ever been. You know, even right after that, right in between, my dad passed away, and it was right after therapy, where like I was completely done with therapy, and you know, ready to move, because there was a lot of I guess in therapy we call it small traumas that I had with my dad, and I worked through that in therapy. And you know, I was ready to go and be able to just be at peace. And when I came back from the funeral, and you know, there's a normal depressive stage that comes with grief. I had that, and that's the last time. That was 2019. That was the last time I was depressed. And that came with grief. Before that, I was doing therapy, I guess, from that February and that January of that year. That was the last time I was depressed, is when I left. So I feel a lot more free.
Amen to that.
I really feel like I can be myself, and I'm still unveiling, you know. There's still certain parts of me that I keep to myself, like in certain spaces. I'm, you know, that suppression that I learned helped guide me through a lot. So there are times I still use it, but I'm still able to express myself the way I feel if I'm comfortable with someone, or I have, you know, I'm using discernment in certain areas, so that I'm, you know, like, okay, I'm at work, I'm gonna be chill. I'll still be myself, but I'm gonna be chill. But you know, when I'm able to go out dancing and hanging out with friends, like I'm able to be free. I'm able to be free. So I feel like I can have more conversations that I was not able to have before. So, you know, and I feel that if somebody, a lot of times when I was going back to church, I was on guard. I was on guard. I was ready for anybody to say anything out of the way, and I was going to use reverse psychology on them. I was prepared, but that was the anxiety of being in that environment, the anticipation that something negative is going to come out of someone's mouth that's going to make me want to go off, but I have to not go off and make them think instead. So I definitely feel like I have wings. So the freedom that I thought I should have felt from being with everyone in church, I did not. I'd never experienced it. So yeah.
That's profound. You got wings now. You were not held down. Free to go wherever.
Right.
Wow. So Sam, before we I guess to kind of wrap up here, what would you say to anyone who's, you know, listening to us right now, whether and I'm going to cover a lot of people, so feel, you know, I understand if this seems like it's all over the place. It's kind of, I guess, by design. Whether it's someone who is still there and they're wrestling with leaving, or is this the right thing? Someone who's still there and they're still entrenched and they're still gung-ho about everything. Someone who's left and is fully free. Someone who's left and still processing, or somebody who hasn't even gotten involved and you want to warn them, or whatever you want to say to them. Is there anything particular you would want to say to all or any of those people?
To all of those people, the first thing I would say is check your mental health,
Mm.
because that plays a big role in your decisions.
Yeah.
Because it's not managed well there. And I think, I mean, I don't know now, but I'm hearing now that people are using more mental health in the way they lead, but they're still not they're still not trained. But I'm excited when I know that someone is trained professionally and is helping out. But there's still things that come along with that. But I think it's important for people to do what is best for them. Don't put God in a box.
Ooh, yeah.
He cannot be compounded into a box. So if you believe that you're doing that, take your time to process what you're going through. If you cannot process that by yourself, please seek professional help. There are so many different options out there now. I know a general way to find help is, we have this number down here, 211, that we call. You basically give them your demographics, where you live, and they can kind of guide you to where you can get therapy, or you can go to psychologytoday.com and just search for a therapist. Or if you have health insurance, you can search there. If you have no way of finding out, honestly, reach out to me at SamLightShines, any platform, SamLightShines@gmail.com. I can give you direction. I'm a social worker. I'm actually working on my clinical license now. I'm 1 year in as a registered clinical social work intern. I have my master's degree in social work, working on becoming a therapist. So I won't give you clinical advice, but I can direct you as a social worker to the resources that you have in your community that you wouldn't know how to find otherwise. So I think if you're in that space, that's one thing that's missing if you're not taking advantage of it to help you make your decision. So that's what I would say.
Amen to that. I will co-sign on Psychology Today. I have not become a client of anyone's yet, but I definitely have been scouring that recently, and I believe I have landed on someone who I want to do my first session with very soon. So you don't need to actually be going through something, y'all, to go to therapy. Like, I'm going just because I've never gone, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure there's some layers that need to be peeled back, some unknown unknowns, if you will, that, hey, there's something under there that I don't know is wrong, but you don't know that it's wrong. I mean, saying something's wrong maybe not be the right thing to say, but you got some stuff to uncover that you don't know you need to uncover. So
I was going to add that, we're not taught to deal with any of our emotional stuff in schools or at home. So we're not taught to identify emotions. We're not taught to, identify when we're in danger, accept stranger danger, whatever.
Right.
So there's so many things that we don't learn emotionally that, a lot of us have to go to therapy, and it's not a bad thing. Like, I'm a huge advocate about preventing. To the point where now I changed my whole diet to alkaline foods because I don't want to be the next person on hypertension meds, high blood pressure, whatever, diabetes. I don't want to be that older when I get older. So, and a lot of that also helps with your nervous system when you detox the foods that you shouldn't be eating, or whatever it is. Basically change my relationship with food, so I'm not depending on it if I were to get depressed. So prevention is a huge deal. You don't have to have something wrong to go.
Indeed. So Sam, you've already done a little bit of this, which I'm glad. Is there anything else you want to plug while I got you? Anything you got coming up? Anything you got going on? Anything you need the people to know about? Plug shamelessly plug Actually, I keep saying I gotta stop.
Saying shamelessly.
Yeah, because I don't think we should be. I don't think we should feel ashamed for plugging ourselves. I'm trying to purge that out of my vocabulary. Somebody said that once and it stuck with me, but I haven't broken the habit yet. So yes, plug away. If there's anything you have not already plugged, let the people know.
Sure. I do have content on Instagram at SamLightShines. That's SamLight shines with an S, all one word. You can find me on YouTube at the same handle. I haven't posted in months because I've been going through a lot. My sister gave birth to a new baby. She was with me the whole 4 months, so I'm transitioning back. So, but yeah, you can definitely find me on those platforms under that handle.
Okay, cool. Yep. Well, Sam, thank you so much for coming on here. Thank you for finding me and subscribing. Thank you for putting up the content that you have. You got a lot of amazing stuff up there. Everybody, like you said, find him where he is. I'll have everything in the description. Y'all go check him out. He's got some great content up there. Sam, this will not be the last time. I'll be in touch with you. Everybody at home, thank y'all for putting up with us for however long this video ends up being after I edit silent parts and all of that. If y'all just leave us some comments, ask us questions. I know I am back behind on people who have said they want to be interviewed. I will get it all. I'll repent. I got no better way to say it, but yes.
Metanoia.
But, yeah, I guess you could take us out to church, but you can't take it out. I don't know.
No, you can't. It's ingrained. It's ingrained.
But yeah, thank y'all for sticking with us. Y'all have a good night, and I will see y'all at the next video.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.